I did want to kind of stick with the SAR because I feel like this coaching staff has completely done a 180 because when he was coming back on his minute restriction, it felt like he was just standing in the corner for a majority of the season. Something clicked. So I wanted to ask you guys this is like having him have a bigger role open up the offense in your opinion. Blake, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has, and I think there still is like a long-term debate because I mean, I'm not very optimistic that Asar will ever figure out the three-point shot. I think it can improve from what it is now, but I don't think that would be very difficult, honestly. But I think he has found ways to generate offense or just finish plays aside from having to have that three-point shot in the arsenal. And I still think it's a valid long-term concern that you have Asar and Jalen Duren playing next to each other, who neither of them stretch the floor at all. I mean, it helps when you have Malik Beasley playing next to them at times, like Tim Hardaway Jr. when he's making shots, and even when Tobias has looked better too to really help Cade out. But yeah, I think as Asar got more and more comfortable, it definitely like he figured things out a little bit more, and it seemed like a heck of a lot quicker than maybe I thought he was going to, just because I know that blood clot injuries have happened across the league, but I feel like I haven't paid attention to one or watched nearly as many like games of a player coming back from one of those. So I didn't really know what to expect there, but I think as he's gotten more and more minutes, gotten a little bit more on ball reps, even though there's still a lot of like work to go there. I think that's helped him out as well, and just what he's able to do on defense and impact plays, get into passing lanes, get out into transition. Like I think that's where he's at his best, and he's getting more of those opportunities now as he gets farther along into this season.
To me, I think he's like the prototypical modern four right now. He's the type of essentially power forward, but let's just call it a four because it's really a combo forward right now. The power forward position is kind of dead, but the role that he can play and that he has been playing since really February, the entire month of February, and then now continuing on, has been, how do I put this? Think about the level of impact that Ausar Thompson will allow this team to unlock if you pair him with a guy like Miles Turner, for example. Okay, because Ausar Thompson is such a menace out on the perimeter. Since since the All-Star break, he is sixth in the NBA in deflections per game. He's averaging like 13 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, basically since February, right? I mean, what has happened here is a guy who potentially could be winning or competing for Defensive Player of the Year for the foreseeable future. He rebounds the ball. He's a menace in transition, and that's really where you've seen more of the ball handling stuff come up, right? Him and just doing these grab and goes where he's unstoppable because he's faster, can jump higher, and is just stronger than almost everybody. Like when you pair a guy like that with an actual defensive anchor who can block some shots, and you don't even need a lot offensively from the guy. If he could just shoot it a little bit too offensively, right? It lets Ausar Thompson be the entire defensive system, and he would excel in that. I think that it's hard to put into words the impact that he has had defensively and what that could mean for a team like the Pistons, who's trying to develop this kind of dual centric offensive system around a guy like Cade Cunningham and eventually Jaden Ivey when he comes back healthy. To have a player like Ausar who can be such a menace in transition, who is a growing and improving cutter without the ball in his hands, can handle a little bit of DHOs every now and then defensively just obliterate the other team's best perimeter player while also still impacting guys and help and being able to rotate. That guy is so stinking valuable to the offensive and defensive systems that JB wants to run. And so I don't think you could be any more excited by Ausar Thompson on this team. I don't think it could have worked out any better than it has really since the All-Star break.
Yeah, I feel like him just bringing the ball up the court in certain possessions, letting Cade play off ball a little bit, has this like really
Pressure
opened up.
release, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like, and you mentioned like what happens when the Knicks like double team like Cade in the half court. Like, I think giving Ausar reps during the season maybe is gearing him up for the playoffs just in case, because you can have multiple guys bring the ball up the court. You don't always have to rely on Cade to bring the ball up the court, but I think if we're being honest, he'd probably want the ball in his hands. But I think just him bringing the ball up the court, initiating the offense a little bit, and like you mentioned, like he's faster, quicker, stronger, can jump over basically anyone. It seems like it's kind of wild to kind of like think that he was just kind of playing that Stanley Johnson role, standing in the corner, just like, shoot threes. But I think this coaching staff is, watch film, unlock him a little bit. And I think a big reason why they've been running so much is because you're putting the ball in his hands. And Ausar is one of those guys on this team that loves to run in transition and play that fast-paced style.
I do think just quickly that the standing in the corner thing, the Stanley Johnson bit, with how this season has progressed, I kind of think it was Ausar Thompson's fault. He's improved so much as a cutter. Like Jalen Duren has gotten multiple assists since the month of February. Just to have Ausar Thompson even cutting from the wing at this point. The increase in his ball handling hasn't really been initiating. He'll occasionally bring the ball up and he'll make the first pass, and then we'll get into the offense. They're not really asking him to handle a bunch of pick and rolls or handle a bunch of DHOs. It's just kind of, hey, take the ball in transition, and then if Cade's getting pressured in the backcourt, like you said, bring it up, make the first pass, and let's get the offense going. So everything that he's been doing offensively, the improvement that he's made. So you look in the month of January, 8 points per game and shooting about 50% from the floor. And then it jumps up since then. It's been about 13 and shooting close to 63% of the floor. Everything he's been doing has been putting himself in a position to play off of Cade, Schroeder, and Jalen Duren as a cutter, as a kind of dunker spot guy, pick and roll, screen setter even, right? So it's just that he's getting himself more involved, I think, instead of simply standing in the corner, because we're seeing this a little bit with Ron Holland too. Now, early on, it felt like he was less involved in the offense, and now it feels like he's more involved in the offense in his minutes. It's not necessarily that his role has changed. He's just taking better advantage of it, and I think we could say the same of Ausar Thompson.
For sure. Yeah, I agree with, like, Mr. Ray in the chat mentioned, it's almost like having a superstar role player when Ausar is fully unlocked. Like, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, Ausar is not eligible for his extension until after next season, so the Pistons have some time. But the way it's going right now, like, and the archetype that Ausar is, like, those players get paid across the league, or they're a player that a team, probably the New York Knicks, would trade like their next 5 years of draft capital to acquire. So like that's a great asset for the Pistons to have. And like I mean, if you're looping the young players aside from Cade, because Cade already has an extension, who you'd be most comfortable giving an extension to, like right now, if everyone was eligible, I think Ron Holland's on the same path, but like my answer right now would definitely be Ausar Thompson.
Man, just imagine how fun it could be to have Ron Holland capitalize on some of the offensive flashes that we've seen out of him, and then have him starting next to Ausar Thompson in the future. Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
That would be something special. Both ends of the floor.
Having those two guys as your 2-3 would just be menaces defensively. Like I would not want to see that team.
I mean,
in the
3-4, shift them up and get another ball handler too, right? You could get it could get nasty. It could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, even a 3-4 combo, because I know some people are like, just let Ausar play power forward. I mean, he can block shots, he's switchable. Yeah, I know you said it too. It's just, I've had multiple people, like when we do these post game podcasts, mention that, like, Just unlock him, let him be that Rodman. I was just like, you're probably right.
He is playing power forward. I mean, functionally, Tobias Harris is doing a lot more of the 3 stuff than Ausar Thompson is. So I think we're seeing it. They just don't list it that way, which is always funny.
Yeah, it honestly is.